Everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my review for episode 14 of the Bad Batch War-Mantle. So we are only 2 episodes away from the season finale, which I finally looked up after last week's episode, and this was a good one. It was another good one. It was another one that was kind of, most of the season, admittedly, has kind of been like kind of filler stuff, and obviously based on the way this is going, there's no way they're not doing a second season because they have not in any way, shape, or form done enough with these characters to be like, yep, and that's the end of their story. There's no way they could possibly do that and it's satisfying in just the next 2 episodes. They would basically have to be like 2 hour episodes for me to feel like, yeah, okay, I can see that being an ending. Like, we have to have a season 2 because there's so much more story that they need to tell with them. Most of it being like non-filler stuff. I've enjoyed it for the most part, but a lot of people have been like, it's alright, and some stuff here and there. And then obviously I hated the one with Hera as much as I wanted that like 4 years ago. But it is what it is as of now, and this was a good one. Oddly enough, speaking of Hera, we have another Rebels reference, Gregor, the character that they ended up saving, the clone that they found in this episode. He is actually in Star Wars Rebels, so that was super cool. And then, of course, we had the Republic Commandos, which didn't realize until this episode. I was like, I always thought it was kind of cool. I was like, yeah, they have a unique design. It's interesting. You see the video game like Republic Commandos. That's cool. And then just watching the episode, and they threw a couple smoke bombs in this, and it's like you just see like the blue visor. I was like, they need way more of these in the TV shows. Like, they look super cool. Like, I never played the game. I never had it, so I didn't understand. But I was like, wow, the design on the Republic Commando and just the helmet alone, I always thought was cool. But actually seeing it in action, it was amazing. I was like, it's so simple, but seeing an actual like visor light, it just looks super cool. I was like, these things are super sweet. And then there was that one Republic Commando that like hopped over the elevator and then like jumped on the other side and like went around the building and stuff. And I was like, this is crazy. Like that's why they're Republic Commandos. That's why they do the tough stuff. But we got some decent action out of it. I think they actually did a good job in this episode in terms of the action. The opening was really intense. I was trying to figure out, I was like, what is going on here? Like, how does any of this matter? And then it turns out that's just the planet they're going to be heading to. And I like what they did with it. I thought it was a pretty decent episode. Of course, this was the one that, at least at the end, it was like, okay, here you go. We're setting up for the season finale, or at least the last 2 episodes, because, of course, everything's going down. It gets crazier and crazier. They have their moment. I wish I knew the name of the freaking movie I'm thinking of where the dude jumps off the dam. But that movie, I can't think of it. Harrison Ford was actually oddly one of the people. Can't think of the name of that movie right now, but that's what I thought of because like they were going down this tunnel and it just made me think of like him at the edge of that tunnel. Then he jumps out into the dam. That's the movie I was thinking of. I just can't think of the name of it right now. So they have all this stuff going on. They're taking people down. It seemed cool. It was kind of cool. They're going through. I would assume, of course, some of those characters were clones, but then they reference the fact that one of the people they knock out, they show his face, and it's like, these aren't clones. It's like, yeah, these are replacements. So it's like, okay, that's cool. They're kind of just a little bit. They're kind of stepping their toes into more of the stormtrooper stuff. We see more of the Kaminoans, which I thought was actually kind of cool. So the head guy ends up being phased out, and like he already expected that, but it was like, I don't need a politician, but I do need a scientist. And so it was like, oh, okay, he's kind of splitting them apart, and it's like, okay, I'll take her and you're gone, like I don't really need you. So it'll be interesting to see how his story ends up playing out in these next 2 episodes. Honestly, I was shocked because I was like, okay, they busted her like taking supplies, and he knew that he couldn't trust them, and so I thought he was just gonna kill them both. And then he was like, I could use a scientist, but I don't need a politician. And I was like, well, and there he goes. But then he just let him go, and he left. He didn't just straight up murder him. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I thought for sure it was just gonna, classic Empire stuff. It's like, I don't need you. Boom, he's gone. But it's also smart that he wouldn't do that because it'd have been like, oh, blaster fire. Why was that happening? And then they just killed the dude. Everybody's gonna see it. Like all the walls are white. They'll be like, oh, there's a dead body. So it made sense not to actually kill him, but he's probably gone in the next 2 episodes. I think they're gonna kill him off. But I was like, okay, so they got the scientists. We'll see how that works out in the last 2 episodes here. But I thought it was cool. It was nice to see them. It was nice to see more of the clones. We didn't see too much of Crosshair in his specific team until the very end. Is when we actually get Crosshair because, of course, the team shows up. They go through all the chaos. They save Gregor, but things get real crazy. And I was honestly surprised. They were going through. I thought they were doing the classic drama, and then Hunter jumps and he hits it and he just slides down and just falls off. And I was like, they're gonna do the classic. It's gonna be crazy. I thought he was just gonna jump into it. It was gonna be sideways and he would just kind of fall into it. And it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It was like, no, he hit the stairs and he just slid off and they couldn't catch him and he just fell down. I was like, oh, like it just caught me off guard because I was like, oh, they're gonna save him, and then boom, they're out of there, and then it'll go into some stuff with Rex or whatever. For the last two episodes, that's what I was thinking, and then he fell, and I was like, oh, like I actually said it out loud, like, oh, like that was an actual shock that something didn't work out, and so it split the characters up. Of course, he knew that they would die because they were getting followed by like half a dozen ships, if not a full dozen. So he's like, you guys got to take off. He does what he can to survive, which basically was just using his vibroblade to not completely slide down the mountain, but it was nice. He saved himself. He was fine. Told them to take off, and they had to survive. And he, of course, he gets captured. And so now we have Crosshair saying, "I wish it was the whole team, or I was hoping the whole team, but I guess you'll do." And that's where we are. Two more episodes. This one was almost 30 minutes, so we did get like an extra couple of minutes compared to pretty much the whole season. I would say I don't think any of them have been over the 29-minute mark, except of course for the very first episode. I think this actually was the longest episode because each one has really been like the exact same amount of time. So it's been, I think, 26 minutes, maybe 25, but this was almost at a full 30 minutes. So it was cool. I definitely enjoyed the action of the episode. I was happy to see that it was like, okay, this is a serious split. The team's going to have to figure out what to do in order to save their leader. Of course, he's captured with Crosshair. They know that if they try to go rescue him, everything will be extra fortified because of what just happened. So it'll be interesting to see how they do that. I would assume Rex is probably going to show up to help them out. He'll end up coming in as like the temporary leader in the next two episodes until they get Hunter back, which I would assume would be at the end of the finale. But it'll be cool to see. I hope that's kind of what ends up happening. I would love a really cool action, kind of set piece finale, a good two-parter. I think would be really nice to end out the season. So that's really what I'm hoping for, and that's all we can hope for at this point. I mean, we only got two more episodes. I don't see them doing anything unbelievably insane. I would love it if next week was just a good episode. Maybe it was 30 minutes or so, and then they surprise us with the finale, and they do give us another like almost hour and a half long episode. And it doesn't, I would still like to see a season 2 because, like I said, they would have to do so much stuff for me to feel satisfied if this was just the end of the Bad Batch story. So we got to be getting a season 2. I hope we do for sure. I don't think they'll cancel. I don't know how things work, Disney Plus wise, but I would assume that they're just kind of rolling in it as far as Star Wars goes, and they're just gonna put all the shows out. And despite a lot of people being like iffy on this season, hopefully we still get a second season, and hopefully the second season will be even better. Maybe they'll just focus on more like main content instead of a lot of filler stuff. Some of the stuff was cool, but they did have a lot of fillers where it was just like, okay, they just kept going on missions, and that was really it. And I was hoping the Crosshair chasing them down thing would be like most of the season, and technically he still didn't get to chase them down because they got captured doing a separate mission, and he just got to show up. Like, he didn't even really get to go on the hunt at all after saying that. It was just like, oh, they caught him, all right, I'll go over there. It was like, oh, he didn't even we didn't even really get much of that tension. We got the tension before he actually did the hunting line. We got it on the planet from Fallen Jedi. So, or Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order. So I'm looking forward to the last two episodes. I do hope that they are action-packed and intense and all those good things. I assume the next one has to be pretty cool. Just because, if they rescue him in the next episode, at the very least, the next episode is going to be like, well, we have to break back into the place. Which is why I think they're going to include Rex, because like I said, it just makes sense to have that be a really intense thing, unless they just move him from the planet. But it would be cool to just leave him there. And then it's like, all right, they're going to be double fortified. We're going to need extra people to go in. We're going to need more experience. So, of course, they get Rex. And then they come up with a really epic plan to break in and then, get Hunter out. So, I'm hoping that's how they do it, just because it would add to the challenge for what the characters have to deal with, going back into the same place, knowing that they're going to be expecting them to do that. But then they also don't have much of a choice in order to save, their leader. So, that's how I'm hoping things play out. Even if that's not exactly what happens, I hope it's just good. That's all that really matters. As long as I like it, it doesn't matter. So, 2 more episodes to go. I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess I should say. I haven't had too many issues with anything, but we are very close to the end, and I just want them to have 2 really cool episodes. Like, better than just like, oh, I like this episode. Like the last one, I certainly enjoyed that one more than some of the ones before it. But it was just like, okay, yeah, these are cool. The pinnacle, without a doubt, though, was them on that junk planet. And it was like, those 3 episodes, I was like, that's where it's at. Like, those 3, and of course, the very first episode, that's pretty much where it's at as far as, like, the peak for this season. The very first one, and then kind of those 3 in the middle. And then we kind of just been having, little things here and there that have been cool, but nothing's really been like, that's going to be a very memorable moment from the season. We've had the beginning, the middle, and I'm now I'm currently hoping the end. So if that's how it plays out, then okay. At least we got a great ending. That's all I can hope for. But of course, I'd love to know what you guys thought about this one. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. What do you guys think of actually seeing the Republic Commandos? I'm pretty sure that is for the very first time in something outside of the actual game. Despite the fact that the game is super popular, I don't think they ever actually showed up in the Clone Wars TV show. I could easily be wrong because that show went off, I don't know, a million years ago, it feels like. So I could be totally wrong, and they definitely showed up, but I feel like they never actually did. I feel like the actual Republic Commandos have only ever been in the video game, and we never actually got to see them brought over into, not live action or even the CG shows. So I think it was the very first time. If not, still very memorable for me, because it's the first time I actually remember. But we'd love to know what your thoughts on seeing that, seeing Gregor come back if you're a Rebels fan. If you're not, curious what interest you might have, because just like with the Hera stuff, they drop a lot of things in here where it's like, oh, if you watch Star Wars Rebels, they got these references. The very first episode was like, there are these references being thrown at you. If you haven't watched Rebels, you don't understand what they are. So I of course recommend watching Rebels because it's amazing. That season 2 finale, some of the best Star Wars ever. It's so ridiculous, it's so crazy, it's so good. But definitely check out Rebels if you still haven't. You'll enjoy it more than this. I'll say that. If you're having issues with Bad Batch, you'll definitely enjoy Star Wars Rebels. The whole thing, for the most part, is canon, and where it's just like, there's just actual stuff that matters as you're going through. So definitely check that out if you haven't. Obviously, it's on Disney Plus. You should be watching it. You should have seen it by now, but a lot of people haven't even seen Clone Wars. It's ridiculous to me to hear that, but some people just don't. I don't know. It's crazy to me. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I do want to know what you guys thought about it. And of course, going into the last two, I would love to know what predictions and hopes you guys have. Maybe we'll see some super early Inquisitors. I doubt it because that would be insanely fast. But they could do whatever they want. They could just be like, boom, here's Darth Vader. They won't do that. But that would be a heck of a way to end the first season where it's like, surprise, Darth Vader showed up. Nobody would hate it. I don't think they do it wrong. I don't think anybody would hate it. I think it would be great. So we'd love to know your thoughts on this episode and what you guys want to see going into the last two. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.